Hello. The Edwardian period, perhaps in part a response to pollution in crowded industrial towns and cities, saw a new appreciation of and interest in the outdoors and the healthy virtues of country air among the upper classes. Swimming pools were a rarity, but natural bathing in lakes and rivers enjoyed a resurgence. Grass tennis courts and croquet lawns were popular. The rules of croquet had been codified in the 1860s by Walter Whitmore Jones, a founder of the All England Croquet Club, who laid 2 croquet lawns at his home, Chastleton House in the Cotswolds, near Monkton in the Marsh, now looked after by the National Trust. People not only began sleeping with wide open windows, but in summer on balconies or specially constructed sleeping porches and in loggias. This is at Monkton House, designed by Edwin Lutyens to act as a retreat and shooting lodge for Willie James in the grounds of his West Dean estate, now privately owned. At Great Dixter House, Northiam in East Sussex, a typical Wealdon Hall house reinstated by Lutyens for architectural historian Nathaniel Lloyd and his plantswoman wife Daisy, a chicken house was converted into a loggia. It's now a cafe for visitors. Poet Rupert Brooke frequently slept outdoors, regularly swam in the Cam and Granter, and would often take friends staying with him at Grantchester to swim at midnight in the nearby mill pool where Lord Byron had exercised a century earlier. The spot is now a nature reserve and bathing not allowed. The breakdown of the barriers between inside and outside, coupled with a kind of rural nostalgia for a supposed simpler, more natural age, brought about a trend for intimate country-style gardens, a change in approach from horticultural formality to something more irregular and relaxed, with overflowing herbaceous borders and soft edges. Francis Hodgson Burnett's The Secret Garden, published in 1907, the story of a garden hidden behind a high wall with a locked door that's brought back to life, is based on Great Maytham Hall at Rolvenden in Kent, now converted into apartments, where Hodgson Burnett lived between 1898 and 1907. The Edwardian country house garden was essentially based on arts and crafts principles, well designed and using traditional skills and local materials for structures such as pergolas, steps and paths, creating a link between the architecture of the house and the landscape beyond. For the first time, the lady of the house might be seen getting hands-on in the garden, deadheading or cutting blooms. Flower arranging became fashionable. The greatest influence was Gertrude Jekyll, who wrote articles for both Country Life and the Garden magazine, and was the author of 14 books, including colour schemes for the flower garden. Gertrude Jekyll enjoyed a long and productive partnership with architect Edwin Lutyens and was responsible for more than 400 garden designs in England and abroad. This typical Jekyll border in the 4.5-acre garden at the Manor House in Upton Gray near Basingstoke, usually open to visitors during spring, has been restored as originally conceived by Jekyll in 1908. The extensive gardens at Hestercombe House near Taunton in Somerset were created by Jekyll and Lutyens between 1904 and 1906 in the early days of their collaboration, and have been restored to their original design by Hestercombe Gardens Trust. Author Vita Sackville-West brought the ruins of Sissinghurst Castle near Cranbrook in 1930. Of the original 1490s castle, only the gatehouse survives, one of the first brick buildings in Kent, where Vita wrote her novels and gardening articles for The Observer. Together with her diplomat husband Harold Nicholson, Vita planned the garden at Sissinghurst, now looked after by the National Trust, as a series of rooms. A succession of privacies was Harold's description. It's possible they were inspired by Lawrence Johnston's garden at Hidcote Manor near Chipping Campden in Gloucestershire, also now managed by the National Trust, where hedges and walls were used to define individually themed areas in a garden created between 1907 and 1922. Among other well-known garden designers active in the Edwardian period, Alfred Parsons, famous as a landscape artist as well as a garden designer, who worked on the garden at Great Chalfield Manor near Melksham in Wiltshire, now looked after by the National Trust and generally open to visitors during the season. And architect Ernest Barnsley, who designed the gardens at Rodmarton Manor near Cirencester in Gloucestershire for Claude and Margaret Biddulph as a series of outdoor rooms to complement his arts and crafts design for the house, in collaboration with head gardener William Screwbury and Margaret, who had met when Margaret was studying at Studley Horticultural College for Women, which had opened in 1898. Each garden room is protected from the elements by a wall or hedge. Rodmarton, built between 1909 and 1929, is a perfect example of the arts and crafts ethos in action. Total design in local materials and employing local craftspeople. Rodmarton Manor is still a private home, but can be visited at various times of the year. And finally, Harold Peto, whose work as an architect brought him into contact with leading gardeners and triggered his own interest in plants. In 1899, looking for a suitable country house with a garden on which to work, he was out cycling when he stumbled across Ilford Manor, a Palladian villa tucked in the folds of a steep-sided valley close to Bradford-on-Avon in Wiltshire. Peto designed a garden in keeping with the inherent Italianate character of the house. Ilford Manor is privately owned, but the garden can be visited during the summer. Peto went on to work on the gardens at Buscott Park, Westdean House and Eastern Lodge, among others. Next time, I'm going to delve deeper into garden history to explore their development through the ages. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like and subscribe buttons and click on the notification bell to be informed when the next video is available, or you can subscribe by clicking on the rose window over my shoulder.